the more activity you do, you crank up the nervous system, and then you get that pendulum effect. Then you get that rebound back. So take a look at this, right? So time is what brings this back to its baseline. How's it going, guys? It's Miguel here from CFS Recovery. This might be the most impactful video I create because I've actually drawn out a diagram here of one of the most important aspects and frameworks that helped me understand what was going on with my nervous system and my body with all the symptoms, pushing and crashing. When it comes to pushing and crashing, this actually paints the perfect picture, at least in my opinion, that shows us what's going on and how our body is finding balance. What we got to understand is, first of all, before we even jump into this crazy chart over here, right? Our body is always trying to find balance. It's trying to find a stable place where we're operating in the most optimal way possible. Now, what happens sometimes is when we throw our body off balance, it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know what stable is anymore. So it goes haywire and it tries to find a balance. So I've drawn this chart over here, and we're gonna call this the pendulum analogy, the pendulum effect for your nervous system. This here illustrates the pendulum effect. Now, if you look here, I have an object. This thing right here is a nervous system. And as you can see, it's attached by string to this focal point over here. And as you can see, if I bring the nervous system up there and I let it go, it's gonna be bouncing back and forth. Now you can also see I drew some different areas here. Now in the middle, this blue area here, this blue area is actually your ideal stable point. That's the best balance in your body. And over here in this blue area, that's where you feel no symptoms. Especially for people who have CFS, it's gonna be a very thin area because these red parts over here, you can see it's a pretty wide area, but anytime you're in that zone, you're gonna be feeling symptoms. So here in this first area, let's just call it level 1. This is level 2, level 3. Same with this side, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And so as you can see, there's X's here. The amount of X's represents the symptoms that you'll be feeling at these different stages. So let's say we're in stage 1, you're gonna feel some symptoms. Stage 2, you're gonna feel a lot more symptoms. Stage 3, you're full-blown crash mode, you're feeling insane amount of symptoms. So here's what happens with CFS, right? The more things you do, the more you throw your nervous system off balance. Depending on how many symptoms you're feeling and how early you are in your recovery determines, how big this window is. For someone who's really healthy and hasn't pushed their body like people like us have, this whole thing is essentially blue. Let's say the more stress you have, the more this goes up here, you throw it off balance, but you'll still be in that blue zone for a normal person. But for someone with CFS, we even go for a 5-minute run. Guess what? The more activity you do, you crank up the nervous system, and then you get that pendulum effect. Then you get that rebound back. So take a look at this, right? So time is what brings this back to its baseline, right? Over time, you'll feel less and less symptoms to the point where you feel no symptoms. But as you can see, it takes a while. In the beginning, you feel tons of symptoms because look, when I let go here, you're gonna go to here, 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 here. You're in the blue for a very, very small period of time. And that's just like with CFS. You'll feel okay for periods throughout the day or maybe a few minutes throughout the day in the beginning because your body's still finding balance. It's trying to figure out how it can get back to normal. For some people, maybe it's not a 5-minute run. Some people, maybe it is going to the movies with their friends. Going to the movies with their friends could be the same amount of stimulus and it could have the same effect. Let's say you go to the movie with friends, boom, look how much you're in the red. Over time, you're in stage 2. Let's just call it stage 2, feel less symptoms. Then you're in stage 1, less symptoms. And then you start to be in the blue more and more and more. You see, over time, the more you let your body rest, the more you let it stabilize to this blue zone. We'll call it the healing zone. As you get to this stage of having no symptoms, your body becomes stronger, and that's when this blue zone or healing zone expands to out here, then here, then here, then here. And eventually you could be doing stuff all the way out here and you'd still be in the blue zone. But it takes time, and this is the perfect analogy for it. This kind of breaks down what you're feeling especially when you crash. When you crash, maybe the next day you'll feel a tiny bit better, and then you'll feel worse 2 days later. And then 3 days later, you'll feel even worse. And that's because of this rebound effect. So as you can see, every time you throw your body off, every time you push yourself too far where you feel symptoms, you're gonna rebound and you won't feel great for a while. That's why it's best to just do things to the point where you feel a little bit of symptoms. So let's say we push it out here. I'm still in the healing zone for most of that time. You wanna be in the healing zone for most of the time. You don't wanna be feeling symptoms most of the time. So you could even probably push it even further. So right there, that's about as far as you wanna go. On a perceived scale, let's say 10 is your absolute worst shape you've been in, and 1 is you feel a tiny, tiny hint of symptoms coming on. If you push yourself to a 10, yeah, it's gonna be a bad time. Whereas if you push yourself to a 2 or 3, it's okay because you're still in the blue zone. Let's scratch the numbers for that. But this is just a perfect representation of your body healing and your body trying to find balance. Now, what happens sometimes is when you're in this stage for such a long time and you really push your body like I did when I was sick. My body pretty much looked like that. I was off the charts. I couldn't even move, couldn't even walk. I was pretty much never feeling no symptoms. I always had symptoms. And a lot of times, you know how just gravity is pulling this weight down and it's eventually gonna stop here? Sometimes your body, it gets confused. It thinks the middle is like over here. So this whole wheel, just imagine this is a wheel. Imagine everything turns and it's gonna stabilize in like this state, or it's gonna stabilize over here. It thinks this is a regular baseline. So my body, when I pushed it, when I was going to all those music festivals and working 12 hours a day and not eating and not sleeping and putting all that stress on my mind, my body stabilized like over here. And blue wasn't anywhere on the map. Blue was like all the way up here. So I had to like really try and focus to shift my brain to retrain my body into the proper baseline. Because a lot of times, we'll get stuck in an endless chronic cycle of just symptoms and it doesn't go away no matter what you do. You could be resting all day and you'll still be getting worse. And that's because you get stuck in one of these zones and those symptoms just go and go and go. When in reality, if you do the brain retraining and you're not pushing your body, then you should be okay. It just gets into a negative cycle when you're feeling all these symptoms and that takes a physical toll on you and you're very stressed out. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse to the point of no return. And in my situation, there was no other way to get out of the hole than to take medication to just help my body relax a little bit. Figure out where you are. How far can you push it to the point where you're still in that safe zone? Don't go up here, don't go up here, don't go up here, right? Because it will take longer for you to get back to a baseline. And the healing happens, the magic happens when you're in this blue zone, when you're feeling little to no symptoms. So I just wanted to put this analogy out there. This is something I wanted to draw or show you guys for a long time. I just didn't know how to illustrate it, but I hope this makes a lot of sense. And even draw something like this at home, make something like this yourself so you can understand it better, right? And think of the journey of healing. Think of the journey that you've been going through. You'll feel symptoms sometimes, but sometimes you'll feel good, then you'll feel worse and good. And this kind of explains all of that. So your nervous system just needs to find the baseline, which as you can see here, it just takes time. In this case, we're letting gravity do the work and put it to the middle again. In the case of our bodies, it just takes time to heal. And that's something we can't speed up. That's something we can't rush. That's all I wanted to share today. I hope you guys got some really great value out of this. Let me know if you want me to do more diagrams like this because there are tons of things I can break down that can help you guys out. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or you had anything you want to say. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and it helps us reach a lot more people who need our help. This is just one of the many things I learned from my doctor when I was in the hospital. And actually he's a subscriber, so he's going to be seeing this right now. But I hope that makes a lot of sense. So I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a great day.